I spent a long time trying to reduce my accent and trying to teach accent reduction. And what I have learned as I have been teaching accent reduction and doing all of this over the years and tutoring and all of that is that what it comes down to with accent is not always later on in the process. Like, of course, you can later on in your language learning process minimize your accent. And that is mostly who I've worked with from a teaching perspective, like in English, very, very fluent speakers who just want to address their accent. But what my focus is now, and you can address your accent at absolutely any stage of the process, but I am at the beginning stages of my Mandarin and my French learning, and what I found to be extremely useful for accent is actually addressing it at this level. Actually addressing it at the beginning stage, even though we're usually more focused on like all of the vocabulary and grammar and all of that at the beginning level, especially like my Mandarin is like A0, approaching A1. My French is A2, maybe somewhere around there, very beginner. But even with my Mandarin, I'm practicing my accent right now. I'm practicing really hitting all of those tones because I want to be able to speak well once I actually develop the language. It's a bit of a slower process this way, building the foundation and then growing on it, but the growth will be much quicker once I have a solid foundation and then I grow. Whereas with my French, I did something similar. I started with my French classes and built that foundation and then grew from there. And again, like, you can do it this way or you can do it at any stage. You can always go back and address your accent, of course. But with my French, I started this way as well, and I noticed that it has really helped me to progress in my language over the years, even with a break and all of that in between learning French. But really drilling like j'ai, really drilling those differences and really understanding like do, all of those different sounds, and that are difficult for English speakers because they are the sounds that don't exist in the English language, and differentiating them are difficult. And then with Mandarin, ba, 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 differentiating each of those sounds, it is really helping me to just solidify the foundation there. And so that my growth will be quicker later on, even though right now I'm spending a long time on the sounds and the accent portion of it, because a lot of people think that the accent happens later on in the learning process because they want to like learn vocabulary and grammar, which is fine, and then build on that and then sort of perfect it or improve it. You're never going to be perfect, but you can improve it. And so that is like where the accent sometimes comes later on, but really what it comes down to is just spending some time on your accent, whether you're at the beginning stage or you're at the intermediate stage, you're at the advanced stage, you always can improve in that area. But there are ways like that are maybe not always the fastest way to speaking fluently that you can improve if you want a very high level of fluency later on. And that's really what I practice and what I teach, because I'm in this for the long run. And I'm going to be studying my 6 languages. Some of them I haven't even started yet, but I'm going to be studying these languages for my entire life, because I believe that when I choose a language, like, I want to choose one that I feel very connected to and that I am just passionate and motivated to learn. And that's why, like, I don't mind spending a year just on building those foundations in my Mandarin, because I'm going to be doing this for years and years and years. And the same with my other languages, spending that time in the foundations. And something that I didn't do in English that I've noticed now that even as a native is those foundations, and then I had to go back and relearn. And even though this is about accent reduction, the skills are the same. That you have to practice them, right? You have to just build that foundation, those concepts. And then with my English, you know, I took remedial classes in college and then later became an English teacher. But yeah, so I had to go back and do that. So that's how I've learned this process and then how like to connect it to accent reduction, is because I have been through that experience of learning something, right? Of learning English, of learning, in that case it was writing, but I was missing pieces. I was missing components that I later had to go back and learn. And so I take the time now to build a very, very, very strong foundation. And just like with my business, like I took all this time to build everything up, to build the Linguist Dojo, to build becoming bilingual, to build all of these pieces. And it took me a long time, just like with my English, like it took me a long time to go back and relearn those skills. It's taken me a long time with my Mandarin to build that foundation. It's taken me a while with my French to relearn that foundation. But the systems that I have in place now are for long term. So I will continue to progress and grow, and later on in my life have a very, very high level of fluency in each of my 6 languages. And of course, some will always be higher or lower than others. And, you know, sometimes I'll focus on one a little bit more than others. Like right now, my Mandarin is my focus. But I will always have those 6 languages, and I will always have that foundation that is just securing everything. You know, it's like building anything. It's like building a house, like anything. You have to have that foundation, and then you can add on to it, and then you can go back and you can renovate. You can go back and you can, you know, tweak things a little bit. Like, oh, I want to change this. Like my accent, okay, it was good when I started. I have that foundation, but I really want to improve in the way that I pronounce this word. And then you can go back and make those little perfections. But even though you're always going to be improving, it's never going to be completely perfect. But you get the idea there. So the key to accent reduction is starting from the beginning, even when you're just at vocabulary words, when you're just learning the, you know, hello, goodbye, how are you? Accent comes in there just in pronouncing those words. And I think that that is just something that is so often overlooked because we want to do it later on, but it starts at the very beginning. It starts at building that very solid foundation and then adding on to it and adjusting as you go. So yeah, that is my take on accent reduction, and little Snoopy here joining in with his chomps, and probably my last video in this office. So I will see you guys next time in a new space and another language learning topic. Bye guys.